So it's good to see you. I hardly see you anymore.
Well, you know where we're at on Mondays.
I know, and I missed this morning. I had a guide trip this morning,
Oh, nice.
so yeah,
Freshwater.
yeah, freshwater, El Capitan.
You get any?
Nah, it was slow. I had a couple of kids, like a 9 and an 11-year-old, and their dad and their grandfather,
Yeah,
and so it was the whole teaching experience and
that's
kind
okay,
of.
man.
Oh yeah,
That's one of those things that kids remember. Fishing with Grandpa. We have a friend, Captain James Nelson,
yeah.
and
He's been on the show.
I mean, I got to tell you, there's dozens and dozens of guys that guide in the bay, and I honestly, truly believe that there's not anybody better for the family
Yeah,
than Captain James Nelson.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
this guy goes and he catches leopard sharks and bat rays. And he doesn't target just we're going to go catch big fish. He just goes out there and catches fish for the family and the kids. And I
yeah,
always tell him, man, you're doing great things.
yep, yep. I agree with you. I agree with you. He was a lot of fun to have on the show and talk with them about that and hear about the stories and whatever and this and that.
Yeah,
So anyway, thanks for coming on here today,
of course.
and I really appreciate it. It's going to help a lot. If nobody knows who Tommy Gomes is, you've been under a rock here for the last 10 years. This is Mr. Fishmonger, uh, owner of Tunaville Fish, uh, Fish, what is it?
Tunaville Market
Market,
and Grocery.
Tunaville Market and Grocery down near Point Loma, or down in Point Loma on
Yeah,
Driscoll's Wharf. Um, he is the fishmonger. Has his own TV show, and he also, what else he does, and the reason I brought him on here is because he goes fishing in the bay, San Diego's best bass fishery, and he goes fishing in the bay every week. Takes his
yeah,
Lund out and takes his friends out, and they all have a good time. And I kind of want to hear about that. Is what I'm looking for.
yeah. Just to be clear, the guys that Randy Trusant, Brian Kirihara, Cameron, John Conniff, Mitch Conniff, we're all investors in Tunaville Market and Grocery, so it's not just me.
I was going to let you say that. I didn't. I
But
know there's a number of people involved in that, and
yeah,
so
fishing San Diego Bay
yeah,
is definitely it's a great spot to teach kids how to fish, because my motto is the world needs more tackle boxes and less X boxes, and we just got to keep kids fishing. And the spotted bay bass fishery in the South Bay is just game on. And when they want to play, they want to play. But there's so many other species out there
right.
in that bay. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And I know you keep track. Pretty sure you keep track. So how many species have you caught?
27.
27
Yeah,
species of fish in the bay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know there's more. I'll tell you a funny story. My fishing partner Jim, he and I have been fishing together for over 20 years, and we get into this one drift outside Fiddler's Cove, and we stopped fishing. We left. I got tired. I'm old, but 68 bonefish,
No.
68 bonefish, all on jigs,
Yeah.
and
Like on little fish traps.
no, these were on little tiny cast masters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the funny thing is that you fire the jig out, and if you got down about 2 or 3 feet, you got Corvina, and they weren't the big ones. They were like the 12 to 16 inches, And then if you got past those, you got into the 2 to maybe 3 pound yellowfin croaker. But right under the boat, Jim got a backlash, and he was pulling it out, and he was right under the boat, and he hooks a bonefish, pulled his backlash right out, of course, because those things take off. And I looked over and I went, oh my God, he got that right underneath the boat. So I went straight down and I got one, and it was just one after another. And we
Yeah.
got tired of catching those for a minute and fired out and caught more corvina. And then we got a dump below that, and it was the yellowfin croaker. And
Yeah.
this fight went on for like 2 hours. It was just one long drift. They never left the boat. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is amazing. I mean,
People ask,
so what time of year was that?
that was right, winter, spring, summer, fall.
Okay.
Yeah. And then people ask, oh, you ever catch a bonefish? And I'm just like, nah, they're not going to believe me. I don't know, tell them. Yeah, we catch a couple every now and then. It's crazy. But we have another friend who's a master of the South Bay, Scott Johnson. Tricks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't post as much as he used to and stuff, but we see him out there every once in a while, and that guy's a master of the South Bay.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah. So where do you guys launch out of? You just launch out of Shelter Island? I mean, that's right near your house.
I launch out of Shelter Island, and for some reason, when I come out of Shelter, my boat won't go to the right.
No.
No, it shoots straight across and goes hard left, and then I just go back to the South Bay.
And you just let it take you wherever you need to go, right?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we've been all the way into the back where you step off and you're in Imperial Beach.
Yeah.
If you know where the little channels are back there and stuff, they're not marked, but if you know where they are and the tide's right, you can get into some pretty fishy areas that aren't touched, except unless guys got a kayak, because not everybody's got the I'm going to say luck, because it's certainly not skill, but I'm going to say they don't have the luck to be able to navigate back in there.
Yeah.
With a motor,
Yeah. Yeah. So is it like solid eelgrass back in there?
No, there's clam beds back there. There's eelgrass back there. A lot of ghost shrimp areas back in there.
Oh, yeah.
There's big seahorses back there. And I mean,
hammerheads,
big seahorses, 12 to 14 inches. And, there's some structure back there that you got to look at. You can see a little bit of structure from Google Earth. If you look back in there around towards the salt mines and where the input and the output pipes were and stuff like that, there's structure. But
yeah,
it's I mean, for the listeners, you got to be careful back there because she gets skinny real quick.
right.
And if you're not paying attention to the wind and the tides, you're going to get stuck, and you're going to be stuck there for 12 hours because
until it comes all the way around.
Sea tow is not going to come get you.
Right.
If you're stuck on the bottom, they're not going to come get you. They can't get in there. And
yeah.
So, and there's other things about the South Bay that have been just phenomenal. Back in the day, there was, when Ed Zaralski was writing about 50 bass in 5 hours, and there was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he said $500 or something like that to anybody who can catch 50 bass in 3 hours. And so a bunch of us jumped on it. I missed it. I think James Nelson was in on that. I think he missed it. But I took I just had his name on the tip of my tongue. He works for one of the big tackle distributors now. He's a young Asian kid that worked out of Fisherman's Landing. Anyways, I took him out on the boat, and the guy that was offering the money, and what's his name? Wei
Wei Chin.
Yeah, Wei Chin. I love that guy. Couldn't
Yeah,
remember his
yeah.
name. It's right here on the tip of my tongue.
He was
But
such a cool dude.
he won
Yeah.
that 50 bass in
Oh,
3
did
hours
he?
from
Yeah.
my boat. That I took him out on my boat, and yeah, he roped him. The tide was perfect. Everything
Yeah.
was fine, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but the Back Bay is changing. Um, you know, since
Okay.
they got rid of the power plant. Uh,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, so they did.
yeah, the
So there's
power
no warm
plants.
water outlet.
Yeah, that's gone.
Oh, yeah. That's a
And
big
then
deal.
the Gaylord hotel is being built down there. And while that was being built,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, they're pounding into the pit, into the land and everything, and that's sending that shock wave through the bay. And so
Yeah.
that kind of changed things a little bit.
Hmm.
And well, you're an offshore guy too.
Yeah.
The bird situation back there is there's you know, you got the little tiny terns, and those are the ones that you want to fish. Then you got the larger terns, and they're usually on mackerel that or bait that's being pushed up by mackerel. And if you got the
Yeah.
pelicans mixed in with all of those things, you know, you got the big jack smelt and
Right.
mackerel pushing bait. And right now it's no seam bait everywhere. I mean, there is literally a biomass of no seams back there.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't make for good fishing. No, am I wrong?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
But
it makes it pretty tough usually.
then again, you know, you got to match the hatch. You got to, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
drop your line down to skinny line, you know, fish 4 pound with a small little 2 inch swim bait, you know. And
So that's what I was going to ask you is what kind of tackle are you using primarily? Are you one of those super ultralight guys?
no, I'm fishing a bait caster with 6 pound
Okay.
and, you know, mostly swim baits, mostly Corey stuff.
Yeah.
We throw a little bit of big hammer. They got a zipper worm that we use because it holds the uni butter really well. And then, you
Speaking
know,
of which,
little casting irons. You know, we call them irons because that's what we used to call them. But little cast masters and little dart jigs and stuff like that.
yeah. So speaking of uni butter, who you are the creator of uni butter and uni goop for that
Yeah.
factor. Is uni goop still around?
No, uni goop's not around anymore because I'm no
Okay.
longer at Catalina, so I don't have access to that.
I gotcha. Yeah. So, but you're still, I mean, we still have uni butter and East County bait and tackle.
Yeah, and we're going to get that production line back up and running. You know, my dad played a big part of that. It was
Yep.
my dad. It was my dad and my buddy Jim. You know, we manufactured it and we put it together, and you know, we were filling the bottles one at a time and putting the labels on and all that stuff. And you know, the old man got sick and he passed on, and then you know, certain things. You know, then we had the pandemic, and then
Right.
I took care of my old man, and he passed at home. I
Yeah.
moved into my parents' house. My mom got sick. I took care of my mom until the end. She passed at home.
Yeah.
Pandemic hit. Lost my job at Catalina. Dogs and cats living together. I mean, massive
It was
scale.
all came down at once.
You know, the only thing that was missing was a giant stay puff marshmallow man.
All right.
I mean, it got crazy, man. And so,
Yeah.
um, you know, we shut down that operation, and Jim and I have been talking, and we got to get it back up and running full speed again. So that's my goal for 2025 is
Okay,
to get
cool.
Uni Butter back on track. Um,
Hmm.
it's funny because one of the old school guys from before the big Facebook and all that, there was that website Saltwater Bastards, and
Yeah.
one of the old school guys showed up at the shop last week, and he's like, "Hey Tommy, you got any uni butter?" And I go, "I just so happen to have about 50 bottles here. Here you go, dude." And I gave him a bunch, and he was fishing I think he was fishing a spotty tournament in Mission Bay this weekend. So
Hmm.
it was kind of nice to have somebody walk in and ask about it.
Yeah. 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 That was a big part. I mean, you guys were doing shows, jackets.
Yeah.
You were putting people up. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, Jim was there, my partner. He was a part of that whole
Yeah.
thing.
Jimmy Edwards played a huge part in Uni Butter. And,
Yeah. Yeah, he
we'll,
helped out a lot.
we'll get everybody back together and, we'll get to the shows and everything. And
Yeah, Jim needs something to do. Like Debbie is getting on him, and he's looking for stuff to do.
yeah, I just need to find like I was going to build an extra building here on the property. But I mean, I live at the end of Sunset Cliffs. There's not a whole lot of room. I was going to put a shed
Right.
out there and start doing that. But now that you threw Jim's name in the hat, maybe I'll just go here, man. Here's how we do it. Because
Yeah.
I've got all the equipment, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Get him
he might be
busy
your go
doing it.
he might be your go-to guy.
Yeah, I could trust him with the recipe and how it's done.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
God, I hope he's not listening because he's going to be calling me out.
Oh, he is. In fact, it's funny because he's if sometimes I get phone calls during these podcasts and it breaks the connection and I have to start him up again. And
Yeah.
he's usually the perpetrator. Like he's usually the guy that's calling me
Right.
to find out if we have any rattle traps at East County or something. Or so
So,
right before I started this one, I sent him a text and I'm podcasting Tommy Gomes for the next hour.
yeah.
And he sent back a laugh emoji.
So this isn't visual, right? It's just voice.
Oh no, this is visual.
Oh, it is. Do you want me to
Uh,
turn because that sun's coming in and get this thing off my
Well,
chest?
I can see you okay, but you can turn, yeah. And
Let me,
and I edit everything
all
anyway,
right,
so I
give
can
me
yeah.
about fishing the South Bay and being safe. Um,
Yeah.
don't be a knucklehead, man. If you're not used to the the area, it gets skinny quick,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys they like to go in and they fish the Coronado Cays.
Right.
I mean, those are multi-million-dollar homes. Most of
Hmm.
those, I will say 90+% of the people who live in the Coronado Cays don't mind you fishing the area.
Yeah.
If you're fishing the docks that don't have boats tied up to them, they
Hmm.
got no problem.
Yeah.
But if you're in back there pitching lead heads and there's a 65-foot boat there, somebody's going to come out and ask you not to fish
Five
there. But
$5 million boat with a $100,000 paint job.
yeah, but we don't need. They don't come out and they're not rude about it or anything like that. You're not going to see somebody come out and act like a Karen or whatever. But you know, back in that area, there's some pretty cool spots that produce. Now, a couple of years ago, yeah, a couple of years. I'm looking at the surf. The surf is absolutely crazy right now here at the
It's
cliff.
it's it's pumping, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
just.
heard about that.
And yesterday there was nothing but lifeguards and fire engines. I'm like, Jesus, why do people? There's a sign
Yeah.
that says danger, cliffs.
Oh
Okay,
yeah. Oh
got it.
yeah.
But what I was saying was several years ago, we had a naval boat fire. Remember that big fire that burned for 7 days on that Navy
Yeah.
boat there?
Yeah. Yeah.
The bay hasn't been the same since. Now, I
Oh,
don't
no
know.
kidding.
I don't know what they put in to put the fire out. Some,
Yeah.
flame retardant, oxygen starving foam or something. I don't know, man. I'm not
Yeah.
saying yes, it happened, not saying no, but
Yeah.
I can tell you that after that fire, certain areas have been completely dead,
Yeah.
just dead.
Yeah.
And we lost another spot this year. Uh, Knight and Carver. The Navy came in and they put one of the big dry docks that sink and then pick up the boat.
Yeah.
They came in, they dredged out that whole side, and the Navy took that area over, so you can't get in there either.
Oh, you can't fish that wreck in there anymore.
That wreck's gone.
Oh, they pulled it out.
They pulled it out. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding, man. That has some huge lobsters on it.
Yeah, the
Like
guys,
it was so,
I talked to
oh,
the guys at Pacific Tug when they pulled it out, and I asked them, I said, so how big were the lobsters? And they
yeah.
just looked at me and like, yeah, they were big. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to, I don't think I'd want to eat them.
Well.
You know, they've been back there a little
It's
too
pretty
long.
far, pretty far back in there for being a bottom feeder for
And then,
20 years.
there's an old structure of the Navy SEAL underwater. What is it called? Obstacle course.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
Navy SEAL obstacle course back there that hasn't been used for quite a while. So
Huh.
that that's nice structure, but you got to know where that's at because you're going to get hung up and you're going to lose all your jigs and stuff like that. But the South Bay is definitely a magical place.
Yeah.
It really is, and it helps that you have a like James Nelson's he's my code boat back there.
Yeah.
He's at one end, I'm at another, and we'll coordinate. And
Because it's big. I mean, you got miles of territory,
yeah,
right?
and you definitely need to bring a pair of binos because you got to look for birds,
Yeah.
and you got to know which birds are right. And then of course you got the flamingos back there. Now you got two of them,
Oh
and
yeah. Nice.
and in that 5 mile an hour zone where the pilings go all the way across the bridge coming out of Pepper Street Park there,
Yeah.
you know, there's a reason why they ask you to go 5 miles an hour. And basically it's because of the turtles.
Oh, okay.
There's over 100 sea turtles that are known to be back there.
Yeah.
I think the total was 119, but I might be completely off base.
Honestly, you're lucky you're still able to fish back there because the turtle lobby is huge, very powerful.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of, there's not a lot of traffic back there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty scary for some people, and I mean,
Yeah.
even getting into the intake and the outtake pipe area, I mean, it can get pretty sketchy if you're not sure what you're doing and
Hmm.
you know how to read your meter. And the chart is not going to help you. The chart is just not going to help you get back in there.
Yeah.
You gotta be a little savvy, and you definitely don't want to go back there when that sun's coming up because that sun's in your eyes and you're just not gonna see it.
Right. So do you have any tips? Like, would you wait until the sun is super high on a clear day? Can you see the channels a little bit better
Well, it's not
with
that
good water conditions?
you see the channels better. It's that you can see certain telephone poles lining up, and then when you get those lined up, you idle over, you're in 4 feet of water, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, okay, you're in 8 feet. Okay, there's the channel, and then you
Right.
can follow it in. Um, and then there's that one channel that's on the chart, Emery Channel. Um, that gets pretty fishy sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, it's not very wide, but it does all go all the way to Silver Strand Highway. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, where I mean, like you can step off and you'll be on the Strand. So
Yeah.
but things have definitely changed back there. Water clarity, the water quality overall in the bay is getting better every day because we have these we've got these oysters that are now growing wide open everywhere.
Yeah. I
Whereas
didn't know that.
it would, maybe 7 to 8 years ago there were no oysters anywhere. Now they're everywhere along the waterfront. And we've got 27 miles of bayfront property in San Diego Bay.
Okay. Yeah.
27 miles.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shore pounding. Um, since 9/11, we lost some of the back bay. And,
Sure.
the Navy base is stretching out a little further and a little further. So they got more
Yeah.
fences up and stuff like that. Navy
Yeah.
security has been very cool. They come up and they watch you and they see, okay, well, you got three guys in a 16-foot skiff with a dog. Yeah, they're definitely a danger.
Right.
They're gonna leave you
Yeah.
alone. But if you get into a certain area too close, they're gonna come up and kindly ask you to leave. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. We did, I think I felt the same way when we would go get bait, and if you drifted near the sub base a little too close, they would come out and tell you to move.
Yeah,
Like you're getting too close, but they were never assholes about it. They
yeah.
would just come up, point their 50 cal at you, and you'd get out of
Yeah.
the way.
I mean, most of those guys are from, they all, I mean, we all grew up fishing. If you're on the water somewhere, you grew up fishing.
Yeah, yeah. No, they were very respectful. They were
Yeah.
always good guys. Yeah, Navy security is good.
But God, I know it's funny talking about different species in the back bay, but when you're fishing trout rods, 2-pound test, and you're catching these giant jack smelt,
Yeah, I
it's
heard they pull.
they can.
I heard they pull. Yeah.
I, I've sacked up 700 ton of tuna in the net, and I'm just having a blast catching these jack smelt and
Jack smell.
worked on bait boats and jack pulling 80, 90 ton of tuna. It's like
Yeah.
I'm back there like a little kid catching jack smelt and halibut. And,
Right.
that's the thing that another fish that nobody really talks about back there is the halibut. And if you get your game plan going and you figure it out, Bruce, I'm telling you, there's some big fish back there.
I know the halibut are big back there,
They're big.
but
They're,
Corvina,
oh, the Corvina that's back there. We don't talk about those, but
nobody talks about those.
no, no, because you're gonna get some knucklehead go back there, and you know he's gonna get one, and he's gonna show the
I'm
area. And,
right. Yeah. No,
yeah,
I get it. I
we
get
don't
it.
talk about those.
Those guys, that Corvina, the guys that target those Corvina are super tight-lipped, to
Look,
say the
man,
least.
when that stuff busts loose, it's game time. But again, um, like any species, it's time on the water.
Yeah.
You've got to put your time in to be able to go out there and get one of those. You're
Yeah.
not, you know, sure, you're going to be the rent rodder with that the rod's upside down with a dead sardine and a torpedo sinker, and you bang a 40-pound white sea bass fishing sand bass off IB. That type of stuff happens, but
Sure.
you definitely got to put your time in back there for those fish.
Hmm.
There's certain areas that they just absolutely love. And then the mullet that are back there. There's
Oh, so have you figured out how to catch those?
Yeah, we don't talk about that either, but yeah,
Oh.
you know, um, the biomass of 6-pound mullet back
Yeah.
there
Oh, yeah.
is just there's
Yeah.
tonnage of them,
Yeah.
and so if you can figure out how to rip a night crawler in half and let that organic material kind of stink up the water a little bit with a bobber and a small
Mm,
hook, you
mm,
probably get a couple, but
yeah.
I wouldn't know other than that.
The fly guy, that was a big topic of conversation for the fly fishermen,
Yeah,
is trying to catch mullet on the fly rod
yeah,
and figure out which fly they would eat. Because some guys would use a moss fly, and some guys
yeah,
would use a maggot fly, and some guys,
yeah,
and they never really did figure it out. But I guess, that was 10 years ago,
yeah.
8 years ago, and I think it's progressed since then. I think they were starting to catch them.
I haven't seen the fly fishing guys back there like we used to.
They fish around Glorieta a lot still, and Harbor Island,
Yeah. Well,
Spanish Landing.
we used to see the same boats,
Yeah.
and we'd pull up to the
Oh,
guys and
so I'm talking about the float tubers, but the guys in the boats, yeah, they're kind of done.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know because we used to pull up to them,
Yeah.
and exchange information, hey, this is what we did over here, blah, blah, blah. We saw this and that. But we don't see the boats anymore because they had the collapsible baskets on deck where the
Yeah.
lines went into it. I don't see those guys anymore. And I
They
see I see a few float tubers back there, but even the kayakers are not going back there enough. And I think what it is, Bruce, is I think it's because they they went back there and started fishing, and they got tired of the spotties, and they didn't evolve into tracking the
Yeah.
other species that are back there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That could be. That could
I
be.
was I was back there fishing with Scott Laceth on the show Dead Meat, and
Uh-huh.
and we went back there, and I had James Nelson. We hired him for the camera boat, and I got a 119-pound diamond ray.
A diamond ray.
Yes,
Okay.
massive, right?
Yeah.
And we're shooting a TV show, and we got to take this thing to a restaurant. And so, getting that thing into my little 16-foot skiff, I'm like, luckily, you know what I had? I had on the boat. God bless him, man. I love the old guy. I had a Captain Ron Billy gaff
Yeah.
about this big.
Okay. Yeah.
I got that fish on, and I looked at Scott, and I went, well, I guess we're done for the day, right? Well, you got a nice one, you know.
Machaca all day.
Oh, chucking bait. That's the only time I let bait on my boat.
Yeah.
'Cause
Was that trip, or was that when you're targeting rays?
just that trip. That's the only time I've let bait on my boat. I don't allow bait on my boat.
So you're not a live anchovy guy, live sardines in the back bay?
No, but I did let James Nelson borrow my boat, and as he had charters, and his boat caught fire at a mechanic burned his boat. Anyways,
Yeah.
so he's got a family and everything. I said, here, take my boat, man. I don't care. And I remember he calls me up. This is a funny story. He calls me up and he goes, hey, thanks for letting me use your boat, but I got a slight problem. I go, what's up, man? I mean, and he says a shark took a chunk out of your seat. I'm like, what do you mean a shark took a chunk out? He goes, yeah, I got a leopard shark and it took a chunk out of your seat. I'm like, well, we'll fix it, get an upholster and everything. And then it was like, I don't know, maybe a month later, we were doing a deep cleaning on the boat and everything. And I'm like, I found two dried anchovies in the
Oh
back of the
yeah.
boat underneath the hatch by the batteries. I'm like, the hell are these things? Oh yeah, James Nelson.
Stinking up my boat.
Yeah.
So s- that's cool. That's it's fun. So do you fish much and like around Glorietta or like underneath the bridge or whatever? Or are you just like back bay kind of back bay?
We fish around the 10th Avenue this summer, right there at 10th Avenue.
Hmm.
Um, was just banging,
Yeah.
150, 200 fish, 3 hours. We're out of here. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then, you know, uh, you can still get into certain areas. It gets a little sketchy. You got to kind of look around and see what's going on before you go sliding into like where the old Kelco used to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was its own mini kelp bed because
Yeah.
they would lift that kelp off and it would fall, and, it
Yeah.
would fasten the rocks and stuff. And you had a kelp bed right there, and we'd get in there and fish that. And it was just game on at certain times.
Oh, I bet.
Um, but for me and the guys, we're going fishing. We're launching at just before gray light, and we're going fishing in the back bay, and we'll make a couple stops and meter around before we get past the bridge. But for the most part, honestly, we're just going fishing. So, we see
Yeah.
what the tide's doing and kind of make our adjustments to that. But even if it's a bad tide, we're still going to go fishing.
Yeah. 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 You got to go fishing.
Yeah, we try and go every Sunday. And,
Right.
you know, it's just one of those things. It's 3 guys and a dog, man. I got to bring
Yeah.
my old dog. And funny thing about him is he just started laying down all trip long. Before, he was running around. He'd be up on the bow of the boat barking at Jim all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pissing Jim off. Hey, Tommy, can you get your dog out of here? Bro, it's his boat, man. What do you want me to tell you?
So
Yeah.
have you caught any like strange things? You catch black sea bass in there at all?
We've got a couple of black sea bass. Um, once in a while you'll get a sculpin or two.
Okay. Any rockfish?
No rockfish back in the back bay. Haven't caught
Yeah.
any. Got them up
Okay.
front.
Okay.
Bonita, we've gotten bonita back there.
Yeah, I saw you. Didn't I see you this week with a bonita
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
a couple weeks ago?
little
Yeah.
firecrackers,
Yeah.
But I mean, we've seen, pods of dolphin back there. And I mean like 8 to 10, 12 of them back there, the big, big gray ones.
Yeah.
And, some cool stuff that goes on back there. Like I said, you got to be careful back there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Sure.
really do. You can't just go running around and because there's stuff floating that comes out of those rivers up back in there, that Sweetwater Channel after a rain.
Right.
I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is 30 miles an hour and hit a floating refrigerator.
From a homeless camp.
Or,
Some kind
or
of
the best,
couch or something.
the best one is a tire with the rim still attached, filled
Oh
with
yeah.
air.
Yeah, it still has air in it.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a little top of the tire, and you hit that thing, and the whole thing comes up through the bottom of your boat.
Yeah.
Jim and I have been back there, and we've seen some crazy things floating back there, and I can tell you that, and on a serious note, life gets hard and things happen, and sometimes people can't handle what's going on or whatever the reason is. But if you're fishing around the bridge and you hear somebody screaming,
Oh God.
do not look up.
Right.
Don't look up, because that vision is going to haunt you for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And just leave.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah.
Let the authorities take care of it. You're not going to save anybody. Just go away, go somewhere else, get out of the area, but don't look up. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I know? Just, yeah.
Yeah, you spend enough time out there, you're gonna
It happens.
see some things.
And it's important to know, it's tragic that things like that happen, bro. And, not to be a Debbie Downer on your podcast, but if you've got kids on the boat and you hear something like that, throttle up, twist the wheel, and go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
It's very important to know that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Nobody's ever brought that up before, and it's just one of those things. It's a fact of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. Back to
moving
fishing. Black sea bass. Any Jack Crevalle or anything? Because
yeah,
I remember when there was
Jack Crevalle, we've got them hooked.
Yeah.
We've never gotten them on the boat.
Yeah.
We've gotten them to the boat to where they just, and you're fishing 6 pound and off it goes like they're like a wahoo, man. You got a little rooster tail shooting off where the line goes into the water, and like, you're not going to get it. You saw it. It came to the boat. It took off again, pinched down, busted off. Okay. Because you're just not going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had fish, where we've had to run it down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've had to run fish down because you're fishing light line and everything. And, you never see it. And it's not a big bat ray because it's not thumping with the wings. And so you don't know what it might have been a big black sea bass or something like that. But,
yeah.
and it wasn't, you know, those times that it's happened enough to where, you know, it's not a shark, you know, it's not a ray, you know, it's not an angel shark. You just don't know, but you know that you're not going to get it because you've been running after it for 25 minutes and the thing is still heading towards the
still,
bridge.
still swimming away.
You know, it's just boogieing towards the bridge, and you're like, you know, you can only throttle up so much because you can't keep up winding.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah. And that line of line, it is what it is. The
we
cards are stacked against you.
we had one, we had a halibut that I hooked and fighting this fish, and I kept telling Jim, this is the biggest flatty we've ever got. This thing's huge. Get the net, you know. And Jim's ready with the net. And Bruce, we've got a nice size net. I mean, it's not, you
Yeah,
know, this isn't a
yeah,
little bamboo trout net. You know, we've got
yeah,
a nice size net, it's almost like a salmon net that you see on the sport boats. You
yeah,
know, it's got a
yeah.
big hoop on it. And this doormat comes up, and I'm looking, and I'm like, holy shit, there is no way we're gonna get this thing. Jim swings on it, and he gets it, but it wouldn't fit in the net.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, I'm like, you know, what are you going to do, man? And he got it in the net, and then the fish has got him, and then the fish is kicking, and the net's spinning in his hand, and I'm watching this thing going, God, that's a beautiful fish. It's too bad. It's too bad we're never going to get it on the boat. And Jim, we lose the fish, and Jim looks at me, and he's like, Bro, I'm so sorry. I'm like, we had no chance. There was no
Yeah,
chance. You
yeah,
know, it's like, it's the one that got away. But there's definitely some big fish back in there, and it's super fun. You know, like I said, you just got to be careful.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right on. Um, well, how's everything else going for you? How's the TV show? Have you been traveling around?
Yeah, things are good. Have you ever caught a sturgeon?
No,
Okay.
no, I haven't.
So I'm fishing the Columbia River up there,
Yeah,
and we're filming. And I just got done doing all the commercial fishing and all that stuff. And because the show's based on the American commercial fishermen who are
yeah,
taking an absolute beating in this everywhere in this country. We're losing commercial fishing. So
right. Yeah,
I go out sturgeon fishing on the Columbia River, and I get this little 4-footer, and I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. And I'm short stroking this fish because big time tuna
yeah,
fisherman, yeah. And throw it back out, I get a nice 35-pound catfish, you know. I was like, oh, that's a nice catfish, you know.
yeah.
And I hook one. Then this fish takes me into the corner of this skiff, bends me over, and beats me, like just manhandled me like a bitch.
Well,
And I'm like, oh, okay. And the guide looks at me and goes, bro, this is a nice fish. And I'm thinking, nice fish. It's a freshwater river. How nice can it be, right? This fish continued to just kick my butt. And
yeah,
we finally get it up to the boat. And I'm like, oh my God. It was 8 foot 6 inches, 283 pounds. And
yeah.
it just
Did it
killed
jump?
me.
Did it
And so
jump?
we got that all on film, and everything
Yeah,
was cool. And I'm looking at the camera crew, and I go, we're done here, right, boys? I mean, we got a great shot. Everything's done. We got a couple fish. You guys want to go in? They're like, yeah, we're done here and everything. And the guide's like, it's like 10 o'clock, Tommy. It's 10 in the morning. You guys got me all day. And I'm thinking, "Ugh." The camera guy's got work to do. I go, bro, you got a wife and kids, you know, bill us for the full day and go enjoy time with your family. And he's like, really? I go, yeah, we got the footage. Don't worry. We'll rep you on the show and everything will be fine.
yeah, yeah.
Um, those fish are mean. They're mean.
Come on.
They're mean. Those fish are mean, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we've had good times on the show. You know,
So you're expanding the show to like you're going out of the United States, right? You went to
Sooner or later, we made the decision to stick in the U.S. because our guys still need help.
sure,
The,
yeah,
the men and
absolutely,
women of the American commercial fishing fleet are taking a beating across the board. We're not the bad guys. There's
right,
plenty of bad fishing going on in other parts of the world. Your American guys are not the bad guys. But unfortunately, waterfront property is worth a lot of money in this country,
yeah,
and developers want it. And
yep,
so that's one of the things. The influx of imported, or what we call IUU fish, illegal, unregulated, unreported seafood coming in to this country, super cheap, is just devastating our commercial guys. And then the farm shrimp and farm salmon and all that is crushing them too. So
mm-hmm.
you have these multi generations of commercial fishing in the bayous of South Carolina and Louisiana and all these bitchin' places that they're on the chopping block. And if you
Yeah,
think about it, there'd be no coastal infrastructure whatsoever if it wasn't for commercial fishing.
yeah,
We
yeah,
built all that stuff to get our products into the United States. And now, if you don't live within 30 miles of a coastline, it's extremely difficult to get local, fresh, sustainable seafood.
oh, totally, absolutely. If you
And
don't live, yeah, if you
and
don't,
yeah,
if you're east of the five, basically, you
yeah.
know, yeah,
So our little shop, we buy more local seafood than any shop around,
mm-hmm.
and we pay more. We pay the fishermen a living wage, and so our customers understand that, and that helps us move the product. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
um, you can get rockfish that's dragger caught, machine filleted, shipped down from Canada. You can get that stuff for $7 a pound. Well, our stuff's coming right off the boat from guys like Richard Jackson
mm-hmm.
onto the fillet table and
Hooking
into
line,
the case where it's just like this super primo stuff. And
yeah,
with the way regulations are going, both for the recreational fishermen as well, the commercial fishing industry is taking a big punch. We didn't get any California Dungeness crab for the holiday.
yeah,
Are you kidding me again? Oh,
yeah,
we're going to open it up January 5th. We got Christmas and New Year's, when we can't get our own California. We couldn't get California salmon. We got a little bit, but there wasn't, most of it was shut down. And, we're not the bad guys here, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we just happen to be the low hanging fruit. And the thing is that sooner or later, for whatever reason, the NGOs or whoever it is, they're going to come after the sport guys, and they're already starting to come back. You just saw the sand bass get cut, and so you know all this.
well, it's these new MLPAs,
Yeah,
the new proposed MLPAs, and I don't know what the lobster guys are going to be doing, but like half day. Where is the dolphin going to fish? They're going
yeah.
to
What
take away Point Loma. They're taking away Point Loma.
what about Fred Huber, who's been his
Yes,
whole life
they
has been centered around that? And how many hardworking kids have come up the line that are now running boats that started on the half day boats?
uh-huh.
See,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
a lot of folks don't get it. Even a lot of us that are in the industry don't understand it. I visited 53 ports in the last 5 years, and I see it coming. And we saw it coming with our San Diego tuna fleet,
right.
but we
Yeah,
didn't we
right.
didn't realize it back then. That was in the 80s when all that stuff went down. Um, that it just doesn't seem that they want us to fish, and it, I'm sure some guys are going to get mad, but I'm telling you, man, it's sport fishing guys are next. It's coming. We're going to see Mexico cutting back. Biospheres are coming in. Limits are going to be. We've already got issues going on down there with sport fishing, and it's just and more MPAs and follow the money, and the environmental groups are are not in the best interest of the watermen. And
No.
that goes all the way. So if they close Point Loma, can you imagine if they close surfing as well? Your leash is dragging through the water and ripping the kelp from its holdfast. Your cars are leaking oil along the cliff areas. The erosion of you walking up and down the cliffs.
That's it too.
We
They
fought
blame
that.
erosion from people just walking along the cliffs.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
fought that during
Yeah.
the South Coast Study Region when I was a stakeholder in that. We
Mhm.
fought against that. You know, they wanted to close Point Loma back then. They wanted the one at Ralph's to be bigger, and you know, it
Right.
it was crazy because when all of that went down, I went, well, wait a minute. You know, you Autobahn people should be embarrassed, and the rest of you environmental groups that are attacking commercial fishing should be embarrassed because you forgot one of the most important things in the San Diego saltwater region, and that is Formosa Slough. And they all kind of looked at me, and I went, it's a mud hole, but it's an important flight path for birds and all this other stuff going on. And what are there, like 7 different species of gobies that live in there?
I'm
And
sure there is.
nobody wants to save that. So let it be known that some stupid commercial fisherman at the very end threw up his hand and went, let's all save Formosa Slough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it's a shame that it's all about money, and it's all about excuse me, it's all about money, and it's all about grants. You know,
Grants.
everybody's applying for grants. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at what's going on with the marketing of local seafood, and you know, there's more out there than the and they did a great job, and they're absolutely bitching, and everything is super cool, and they continue the fight. But there's more out there than Tuna Harbor Dockside Market.
Yeah.
There's other guys that are involved that are doing some super cool things that aren't getting the recognition that they deserve,
Mhm.
because the folks at Scripps and NOAA that are giving this grant money out, they're focusing on this one little group here.
Yeah.
You know, this one little group doesn't represent all the commercial fishermen in San Diego, and doesn't represent all the commercial fishermen in Mission Bay.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
more to the story. Oh, yeah, yeah. 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 Just don't ask me about the revitalization of Driscoll's Wharf. You know.
Yeah, Driscoll's Wharf. So,
I mean,
you guys are still there, so
it's gonna be
that all
super
worked out,
cool,
right?
man. We're not going anywhere.
Okay.
They love what we're doing. You
Yeah,
know,
good.
we're bringing we revitalized it. We're part of the blue economy, the working waterfront, all the catchphrase words, you know.
Right.
Bottom line
Yeah.
is Tunaville Market and Grocery, Celebrity Seafoods. We're there with Chula's Seafoods, providing an outlet for local commercial fishermen to offload their catch, and we're offering it to the public. And so that's
Right.
what it's all about.
If you want some
Something like
fresh fish, local fishermen, go see Tommy, Tunaville, Point Loma,
Driscoll's Wharf
Driscoll's Wharf.
down there.
It's right down the street from the sport fishing landings.
I mean, that whole area is just absolutely bitching because we have free parking at our shop.
Yeah, you do. Yes,
And
you do.
yeah, imagine that.
Keep it that way.
You can go to Jimmy's Famous American Tavern. You can go to Mitch's Seafood. That guy buys more local fish than any other restaurant in San Diego, hands down, guaranteed, 100%. More local fish than anybody in San Diego's restaurant. That little tiny hole in the wall.
I love that you can go there and get golden spotted sand bass tacos.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I love
And
them.
and then you can go over to John and Terry's place at Point Loma Seafoods. You know, he's got local fish as well.
Yeah.
And you want oysters? They got them there. You can go to the Brigantine. It's such a super cool little area. You can walk all the way down along Shelter Island. You can go to the Friendship Bell. You can go to Fathom's Bistro on Shelter Island Pier.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
watch the guys
Oh,
catch.
they have done a lot of improvements over there. They took
It's
out Kettenberg. That kind of hurt,
yeah, that one hurt.
but
That
but
one hurt.
it did. It
Yeah,
did. We hauled out there many times, many
yeah.
years.
Everybody did.
Yeah, Red Rooster, Royal Polaris. It was all up in the air, right next to Point Loma Seafood, and it was kind of cool. You know,
Yeah,
of course, the grinding of aluminum and cutting and bottom paint wasn't, but whatever.
yeah. Good old red lead bottom paint, and that's when every place had free parking.
I know, I know.
You know, I think French fries at French fries at Point Loma Seafoods, man. I remember they were 59 cents, and then they went to 99 cents, and everybody was like, "What?
Ah, damn.
French fries
Place
99
is so
cents?"
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but everything. I know some change is good, but in and along our waterfront, you know, the watermen, whether you're a commercial fisherman or a recreational fisherman or a surfer, kayaker, float tuber, you know, we are the environmentalists of the water. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to nobody wants to catch the last of anything, and it's just a shame. But I'm going to change subject here because
All right. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little. So on my boat, when you're using the little darter jigs
Yeah.
and you snag one, you know what it's called?
No. What do you?
Yep. You Mike Longed one.
Then you hold it up, take a
Yeah,
picture, and post it
yeah,
on Instagram.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But back in that bay, you know, when you tie a big dropper loop and you put two swim baits on it and fire it out there and you get
Yeah.
two of those nicer spotties,
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun fishing, man.
Well, that's what the fly guys were all into. They fish two flies at a time,
That's
and
fun
they
fishing.
double up all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just great. But it's all about the birds, you know, the birds back there. And I mean, the only pair of binos I had were the Bausch and Lomb 7x50s with the lens extended because that's what we had on the tuna boats. And so I would bring those things out. And I remember the first time I swung them up to my eyes, we were over at the Navy station and I wanted to see what was going on over on the Coronado side. And I
Uh-huh.
swung those things up and it was like, wham! I was like, whoa, I got to get a
It's
different
really
pair of binos for back here.
it's really something. I know the
They're-
like what the stabby scopes and
Yeah,
whatever, and you're only looking a quarter mile instead of 5 miles.
right.
It's like, wow, I can see what they're smoking.
Yeah.
What kind of cigarettes are sticking out of their pocket, you
You know,
know?
my dad my dad fished with Jim and I back there every Sunday until he passed. And this
Mhm.
was a guy, I mean, this guy fished commercially all over the world. He started fishing in the racks, 2, 3, 4 pole fish, stories galore. Him and Jim, you know, my old man would start telling stories. Of course, I'd already heard them, but Jim would hear them. And I remember like going through the Panama Canal, you know, there was my dad out there firing jigs while we're going through the canal, you know,
Yeah,
and everywhere we went, my dad always had a fishing pole. He was always fishing. And
yeah,
when he got old, he couldn't walk and it was hard to get him in and out of the boat, but we did it. And he would go back there and he would just have a blast on those spotties, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there was one time when, you know, you got the what God, it was right on the tip of dude. I'm getting old, man. I can't remember stuff. What's the name of the big falcon back there? The big the big bird that is a predator back there. What's it called? Come on.
A frigate?
No, not the frigate. They live here in the South Bay. There's a nest on
Oh, the oh.
Shelter Island.
It's
Yeah, that
now
one.
I can't think of it.
That
It's
one.
a freaking
Osprey.
yes.
The
God
osprey.
darn it. I
So
feel
there
so
was
dumb.
so there's a pair of ospreys back there, and
Yeah.
they circle you.
Oh, they're waiting.
They're waiting because you're
Yeah.
catching and releasing, right?
Yeah.
And once in a while
Yeah.
they'll dive down and get one, or pretty. Well, one
Yeah.
time my old man, he was at that age where he was kind of hunched over, and he was reeling in slow, and he would reel him up, and when he would he lift his rod up one time, and that osprey came in between the fish and my dad, knocked the old man's hat off, grabbed the
No.
fish,
Yeah.
took off. My dad's peeling off drag, and he's like, "This son of a bitch is stealing my fish." So those are the stories that,
Yeah.
fishing with kids and fishing with the older generation. Um, we fished with Ed Reese for a while back there, and
Uh-huh.
he was a very good friend of. He was very close with our friend Paul Leibowitz. Um,
Scooter?
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul Leibowitz, yeah. He used to fish with Ed Reese back there, and Ed was an old merchant marine during the war, and he does some fantastic Navy ship paintings. I have a couple of them and a
Mm-hmm.
couple of his plates because he designed plates and sold them.
Yeah.
There was another guy that Ed fished with, Ed Cowan, and we took Ed out a couple of times. These guys are in their 80s, late 80s,
Yeah.
and we'd take them out fishing, and we'd ask them, at the end of the trip, "Hey man, is there anything you need? I know that you're at a senior citizen home. You don't have anybody visiting you. Can we come get you?" No, we're okay. We just want to go fishing once in a while. And those guys passed, but there's a certain area of the South Bay there outside the naval area that's called Area 51.
Yeah.
And if you remember when Ed Reese used to write his fishing reports, because he was very meticulous in his reports,
Mm-hmm.
and as SD fish got popular, and saltwater bastards and bloody decks got popular, he started using code phrases for areas, and that one
Yeah.
area was Area 51.
Yeah.
And he had a favorite jig, which was he called it a triple ripple, but he never said the color. Bass Pro
Yeah.
Shops has a triple ripple, and
I
you
know they
know,
do. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you actually literally had to go meet Ed at the shore to ask him what color triple ripple, and he
Yeah.
would show you, but he wouldn't post up about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you think about things like that, you know, it's cool because as I get older, I know I mean, I'm 63 now, fished all over the world, have been very blessed, done a lot of really cool stuff out there fishing. And I see these youngsters, you know, fishing. And I'm just glad we didn't have the internet back then, because we met more people face to face talking to
Right.
each other. When
Yeah.
you're
Sure.
pounding the shoreline, you see another guy, "Hey, what are you doing?" We were throwing, rapalas or rapalas, however you want to pronounce it. Now it's like, there's 400 different species that, you got to throw the lucky craft. You got to throw the fire tiger. You got to throw, like, no, you don't. You just got to go fishing, man.
You just got to go
You
fishing.
got to go fishing. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you catch a couple, fine. You don't, that's fine too. You get them next time. Then you got to talk about, the pier fishermen. This is a whole different breed of fishermen.
Yeah.
The guys that
Yeah.
fish the pier, they come down
Sure.
there and they got their custom 4-wheel drive wagon with every rod holder and inspector gadget gizmo. And,
Yeah.
they go out there and they got a butane little burner stove and a coffee pot going. And I'm like, yeah, why not, man? You know, I'll tell you another good one. There's an old man, an Asian gentleman that fishes Shelter Island Pier. and he's got to be in his 80s. So it's him, his wife, his daughter, and then granddaughters, so they're like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got one granddaughter with a 5-gallon bucket that's got bread and water, and the bread's all mashed up.
Yeah.
And he's got a triple layer hoop net, bait net.
Uh-huh.
Not just one, he's got a triple chambered one, right? I mean, this guy's got it figured out. And it's nylon stocking,
Nice.
super thin, heavy bar, so it sinks fast because the nylon stocking, small mesh, creates water restriction, so it doesn't. Okay, you get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'll take that. The daughter takes a soup ladle, ladles it out over the side of the pier,
Uh-huh.
right? And then he throws his triple chamber net that sinks, and all this smelt and little anchovy stuff come up, and he brings it up, and this net's got to be 6 foot long. This poor guy's only 4'2", right?
Yeah.
And he gets it up and over the rail, and he's got this little wooden box that he dumps it in. And the wooden box sits on top of a milk crate, and then they open up. It's almost like the bait tank on the sport boats. You open up the door and everything goes out, and it goes into these buckets. And he's got his whole family lined up there, and they're cleaning them.
I was going to say, are they cleaning them?
They're cleaning them, and they're putting them in the end bucket. And he'll have 2 or 3 buckets of all these cleaned little anchovies and mackerel and sardines. And I'm looking at that, and I'm going, man, this is substance fishing at its finest.
Yeah.
You got a 99-cent bag of Bimbo white bread, and this guy's he's got 30 pounds of cleaned sardines, anchovies, and mackerel, and that he's making his own fish sauce, and that he's going home and he's frying this stuff up, and these kids are down there, and they're all sitting on their haunches, man, and they're cleaning this stuff, and 2 of them are running around and running up, I found another fish hook, and it's like super cool.
Yeah.
Fishing like that, and people are substance fishing, which is cool because I don't know, man, being a bait fish, it's a pelagic. It probably comes in and out of the bay. Shelter Island's right there. It's not like it's way back in the back, and the water's a little cleaner and stuff like that. So when you see people fishing like that, it's really cool because
I agree.
Back in the day, I remember I was with John Houlihan on the Galilean and fishing out of H&M. And one morning, I'd already been purse seining and all that stuff. And one morning I came out and he was like, "Hey, are you cooking something?" I go, "Yeah, I got fried anchovies." And he started laughing. He's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Yeah, you got Krusty's pancake batter in there, man. I just shake it up and deep fry some anchovies."
Yeah.
He looks at me and he goes back in the pilot house, and he comes back out, and like 2 seconds later, he goes, "Let me try one of those, boy." John was a big belly boy. He goes, "Let me try one of them, boys." And I hand it up through the little cubby hole there, and he takes a bite of that. And he goes, "You need to whip me up some of them, and some for the customers too." Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys carry tin fish there, right?
Yeah, we carry a lot of tin fish from all over the world.
Popular at this point.
Everything from baby eels to sardines to anchovies, and we just had Captain Dan. He used to run the Sand Dollar and the Bottom Scratcher back in the day.
Well, they docked next to me at 22nd Street for years
Forever.
and years while we were up there.
So we had him this last Saturday. We had him at the shop, and we were slinging pizzas, giving out
I saw
pizzas.
that.
Yeah. And I make Italian sausage, and I make linguiça out of the thresher shark.
Yeah.
And pork fat, and it's really good. And we put that on the pizza. We put smoked tuna on the pizza, smoked wahoo. We did a bunch of the tinned fish on pizzas.
Yeah.
And it was super cool, man. And people were like, "Oh, wow, this is a different way."
Oh, yeah.
You know, we got to think outside the box, or think outside the can in this case. But, you know, we have our blinders on. You know, hey, do you want to try some of this tinned fish? Oh, I don't want to eat that. I go, this ain't Grandpa's
Oh,
kibble snack.
yeah, it's not the same.
No,
It's
this
not
isn't the stuff.
geisha. Off-
Yes, this is not Crown Prince from
right.
the grocery store.
Uh,
This is how tinned fish is supposed to be. And
yeah,
bro,
albacore belly.
my manager Sonny, you know Sonny. She used to
Yeah,
work at
yeah.
Turner's.
Uh-huh.
I stole her away from Turner's at Fred Hall, and she gets so mad because like it'll be 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'll go over and grab a handful of crackers and pop open a tin of sardines and sit there and just
Oh,
stare
heck
out
yeah.
the window. So like, make sure you mark that down for inventory is going to be off. And I'm like, oh my God. But we're
uh,
having fun, man. You know, um, I, one of the things that with fishing, you know, it's cool and all the way the internet has brought more people around to go fishing and to learn more
yeah.
about fishing and podcasts and stuff. You know, back
Mhm.
in the day, we would wait for Wednesdays because Western Outdoor News came out.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to be on
Yeah.
the cover, man? Western
Yeah.
Outdoor News, Western Outdoor News, you know. And,
That was how we got information, was Western Outdoor News. I was trying to explain that in an earlier podcast.
yeah, the fish counts with Ed Zaralski and
Yeah, fish
just,
counts were a really big deal.
you
Those
know,
were really a big deal.
yep,
Um, and back in the day, that's how people, decided which boat they were going to go on. Somebody's
yeah,
on a hot streak. The
yeah,
producers had limits of yellows at the islands for 3 days in a row.
yeah,
Fourth day, he's going to be full.
yeah,
It's going to be hard to get on the producer. Yeah.
yeah. God, and those were such fun days with, you know, Ray Sobiak and Nick Gates and, you know, Charlie Long and all those old guys that, you know, that was just such cool times back then. And
Yeah.
now it seems that everybody wants to be Instagram famous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, for the younger guys that are out there, kudos to going out there, putting the time in and pounding it out and all that stuff. Um, you ain't lighting the world on fire. It's all been done.
Sure.
Go
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't get pissed off. Don't sit there and you know, badmouth somebody on a video or something like that. Just because you know better, maybe the guy doesn't know better. Maybe he's just starting out. Maybe he retired and
Hmm.
went and got a boat and well, I'm just going to go fishing. And you know, unfortunately, we have those type of guys. They don't hire a Dave Hansen. They don't hire a Bruce Smith to take them out and show them the ropes. You know, and it's a shame that sometimes we see these videos out there of guys bad mouthing each other and everything. And, you know, that back in the day, I mean, we used to wrap sport boats. Sport boats used to call us in, man. We'd slap it out right around them. They'd go out over the cork line. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, we're loaded up. We're out of bait. They're still under the boat. Okay, here we come. You know, boom, 60 ton, gone. You know, put
Yeah.
on the boat. Everybody's
Yeah.
got to work together out there. So it doesn't really do any good to badmouth somebody on the internet when it comes to fishing. And like I said, it's all been done. We've all
Yeah.
caught big fish.
Right.
You know, we've all
Yeah.
caught big fish. And I'm going to touch base here. Do we have time?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, look, I'm an expert witness in matters seafood for the federal government. Okay. So,
Yeah.
what I'm going to say here, you better listen because they're coming and they're coming for you. If you're bringing fish across that line and you're selling it,
Yeah.
they're coming for you.
Yeah.
And the fines are steep. The
Yeah.
Whitmark brothers, they just went down. Lifetime banned recreational fishing, lifetime banned commercial fishing, had to give up their lobster permit. Great. That's one less guy we got to worry about fishing lobster in Point Loma. Okay.
Right. Right.
These guys aren't messing around. And you restaurant owners that are going out on the sport fishing boats and bringing that catch into the restaurants, you're going to lose everything. They're not
Right.
messing around. You're
Yeah.
going to lose everything. They're going to come in and they're going to bust you. They're going to shut you down. You're going to lose your employees. You got to go to court. You're going to pay a fine. You're not going to be able to open up again. Your wife's going to be pissed off. Explain that one. She was already mad you were spending too much time on the water.
It's not worth it. It's not. There's not enough money.
It's the same
You
thing.
know.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the sushi guys. You know. Yeah, man.
Right.
You've had a great 5-6 years of great bluefin fishing. You get caught bringing that stuff in, slicing and dicing it, whether you're a caterer or a restaurant, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to get caught. Enjoy it on the boat. Enjoy it with their family and friends. Give it away. Don't sell it. You don't have the permits. You don't have the licenses. It's an illegal harvest. If you bring it across the border and sell it, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're better off, honestly, you're better off getting a drunk driving than you are getting caught with these guys now because they're not playing around.
Yeah.
Fishing
Wow.
Game and NOAA is not messing around. You have the federal enforcement team in our home port now. They're here. They're
Oh, really?
watching.
Yeah.
You know, you can't miss them.
Yeah.
They look so out of place. You know, you're like, what is that guy doing here? He must be a Fed. Well, yeah, look at him. You know, you can smell those guys. But honestly, for those listening, don't mess around. They're coming. They're here. You know, and they want the arrest. They want it on their record. They want to take your tow vehicle. They want to take your truck, your boat, your catch.
Yeah.
They want to take you to court. They want to confiscate everything. And if you happen to go up against the feds, as somebody who knows, Bruce, you know my background, they stack and rack the cases and they beat you down to where you finally just roll over and say, take me, I'm yours.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't come after you without a case. Once they come after you, it's already done.
Yeah, they don't lose.
Yeah. Right.
They don't lose. And
right.
when they do come and question you, the last thing you want to do is go online and make a post about it. Because, you know, you are now on their radar.
Mm-hmm.
You're on their radar and they're fine tuning it.
Yeah.
You know, you might be at the 50-mile ring, but you keep running your mouth with a bad attitude, you're going to be inside that 5-mile ring real quick.
Yeah.
You just got to be careful, you guys and gals, and, you know, don't do anything stupid. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Probably a different kind of podcast than you're used to, huh?
A little bit. I was expecting this though, you know, I got to venture out of my safe zone, you know.
I hope
it's
yeah,
good.
well, I hope you air it, bro. I do, because
I am.
There's a lot of things.
I think it's going on tonight. It'll be out tomorrow morning.
There's a lot of things that people aren't aware of. It's not just fishing anymore. It's big money. And unfortunately, it's not big money for us anglers or commercial fishermen. It's big money for other projects that are on the horizon. Literally, windmills, literally, fish farms, literally, all that.
Oh, yeah. Aquaculture is huge.
Aquaculture, you know? Yeah,
right.
let's
on our coast.
Let's put a bunch of giant salad shooters out there and just wipe out our bird population, huh?
Right.
And it's coming, and it's sad, you know. And when I tell you, watch what you post on the internet, you know, like really, why do their job for them?
Right.
Like these
Yeah.
kids that are out there just having fun fishing the aqueduct for stripers. I mean, how cool is that, man?
Yeah.
You know, they're stuck out in the middle of the desert. There ain't a whole lot
Yeah.
to do out there, but they're fishing the aqueduct and they're catching stripers. For crying out loud, get that stuff off the websites, man. Keep it low key. You don't need a bunch of guys going out there drinking beer, stumbling and falling, getting sucked into that thing, and then shoot, next thing you know, they're past Bakersfield, and then okay, no trespassing, federal crime. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just the way it goes.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Now what?
No, we're good, man. We got almost an hour and a half in here. Man, this is awesome. And but we can go ahead and wrap it up. I
You
still
got any
have some
free? You got any free swag?
what do you think there's money involved in this?
You got any stickers or anything? Got any hats? Right? Remember that, man,
Oh,
running around Fred Hall and stuff, and
just see how much you could collect.
yeah, getting all the free stuff, and all those
Oh,
groms
that was
used to hit the uni butter booth, man. I was giving them away shirts, and ask Jim about the mechanic shirts. I used to get the used mechanic shirts that had oil stains on them and stuff. They were like $1 a piece,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
get those silk screened.
yeah. So, remember that there was a guy that used to come down to the landings and he would sell us all of that,
Yeah,
all those.
Jerry Vieira.
That's Jerry. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Blackie.
they were like 50 cents a shirt.
Yeah, Jerry Vieira, man. He did the tuna boats for years and years, and then they went away. And then he went down and he took care of all. He had the Dickie work pants and the Dickie
Yeah,
shirts. Yeah,
yeah. It's all
that,
red cap and Dickies and all that.
yep.
And
Before they became stylish,
right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
And they were 50 cents, 75 cents, a dollar
yep. And
for
then
yeah.
you'd wear them out and you'd throw them away and you'd order more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
He'd
was
come right
that.
down.
That's before we had the laundry service.
Yeah.
We didn't have
Yeah.
laundry service. If you were lucky, if you could get a bunk girl
Right.
to take your laundry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool, man.
Yep.
Don't
All
wait
right.
so long. Don't wait so long to ask me back on.
I will. I won't. Well, you just got to answer your texts. See, I feel bad, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna bug him because I know he's busy.
Nah, no. Jimmy
I'll
mentioned
bug
it.
you.
Jimmy mentioned it, and I was like, just have him call me. I
Yeah.
got you in my phone. Been in my phone forever. If I see it's you, I go, oh, hey, Bruce, what's up?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, maybe I'll see you next Monday.
Cool, man. All right, say hi to everybody.
I
Merry
will.
Christmas. You
Okay.
know, if you
Yeah.
don't
Merry
get
Christmas.
if you don't get bit, move to the next spot.
There you go.
See you
Keep it
later,
up.
bro.
Talk to you later.
Bye.